female, pubalgia, and myalgia. On clinical examination, there will be a low-grade fever, signs of dehydration, and loss of hair. You can also note cachexia, as well as postural hypotension, so the decrease in blood pressure, the difference between lying down and standing up. Finally, tachycardia is also present to compensate for the low blood pressure. Let's go back to the diagram again. As mentioned, functional antibodies against cerebral cortex and the enzyme 4,1-hydroxylase account for 70% of Addison's disease cases. However, there are other causes, including infections, adrenal cortex malignancy, secondary malignancy of the adrenal cortex, and status elsewhere, such as the lungs, adrenal cortex hemorrhage or infarction. The patient might keep on warfarin, which predisposes them to this. Addison's disease can be caused by infiltration diseases such as hemochromatosis and amyloidosis. There are also iatrogenic causes such as removal of the effector gland, which will obviously cause a reduction in the adrenal cortex hormones. A rare congenital cause is characterized by contiguous genitalia, and this is known as congenital adrenal hyperplasia. Finally, medications that can cause a decrease in cortisol production can cause Addison's. This includes etoposide, ethosane, and aminoglycoside. Some of these drugs are usually used to treat Cushing syndrome. Risk factors for Addison's disease include female gender, because most autoimmune diseases actually seem to occur in females. Having autoimmune disease, adrenal cortex autoantibody production, adrenal hemorrhage is another risk factor, tuberculosis infection, meningococcal infection with adrenal hemorrhage, and of course using medications that can induce Addison's disease is a risk factor. Recapping, primary adrenal insufficiency is Addison's disease, which has many causes. Secondary adrenal insufficiency is caused by hypothalamic or pituitary dysfunction. Investigations into Addison's disease. So in Addison's disease, there is reduced production of mineralocorticoids and decreased production of glucocorticoids. However, because of low amounts of glucocorticoids are deferred, negative feedback is occur, and so there is an increase in ACTH production by the anterior pituitary gland. And the investigations to perform include checking serum ACTH, which will show an increase in serum ACTH, and also checking for the presence of adrenal autoantibodies. There will be an increase in serum cortisol. Other blood tests include full blood count and performing EEG, which may show hyponatremia, hyperkalemia, and increase in urea. Finally, imaging such as CT scan is important, which may reveal adrenal tumor or adrenal hemorrhage. A thyroid function test is also important, as one of the main differentials of Addison's disease is Graves' disease. Management of Addison's disease. The most important part is to educate the patient, particularly to never miss a dose of medication. And we'll learn the reason why. The medications for Addison's disease include replacing the hormones which are lost. This means using glucocorticoid replacements such as hydrocortisone, mineralocorticoid replacements such as hydrocortisone, and this will replace the diminished endogenous mineralocorticoid production. The human tragedy and everything that's sort of involved with, obviously, safety is the first thing. Anytime anyone on any of the studies were involved with Parkinson's, safety levels, obviously, the first thing I have is they get reported so they can be repaired immediately.
I wanted to ask about fracking because I think a lot of our viewers are going to be interested or concerned about hydraulic fracking. So why don't you what is how this technique for retaining natural gas, which has a lot of attention put on it for water quality, how it plays a role in terms of emissions from natural gas?
So you can go jump into this one, so I'm going to go for it.
Oh, boy, okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so there's certainly a lot of controversy about hydraulic fracturing. In terms of air emissions, it's really the only thing I can speak to. There are also our water quality concerns, both surface water and groundwater associated with hydraulic fracturing, but I don't work on water, so I can't comment on that. With regard to air emissions, the concern with hydraulic fracturing occurs, and I might see term that you use of Bernie's well. When you hydraulically fracture the well, basically you're injecting compressible fluid into the skin water, which is added into chemicals and sand, into the rock at sufficient high pressure because it's breaking this rock up. This rock is essentially impermeable to gas. It's very solid, very tight, not a lot of pore space. By fracturing the rock, you create a whole network of cracks that affect the skin for up to hundreds of feet into the rock formation, and the gas can escape from the rock formation into the well pore. When you essentially pressurize the well or the subsurface, like pressurizing sort of a can of soda. So in order to get the gas to flow back, what you need to do is essentially pop the top on it, like where you get the soda can analogy, and let all this flow back out, let all the water flow back out to clear the well pore and to clear the rock formation so that the gas can flow. Generally practice was to, if the gas infrastructure wasn't in place, was to either flare the gas or in some cases vent it. Flaring is much better than venting because of high global warming potential venting. If it wastes to burn the gas off, but it's actually a lot better to burn it off than just let it escape unoxidized or uncombusted. Increasingly, this is largely in the case for large, very productive wells, increasingly companies are applying what's called recompletion technology for reducing completion. And this basically involves applying a somewhat more sophisticated separation technology that is low enough pressure to allow this for this flow back to occur, or this sort of expulsion of the water to occur, but still you're essentially grabbing the gas into a called cave or three-phase separator to separate out the sand, water, and gas, and you can take that gas and sell it. That's really where we want it going. Using that gas and selling it, using it for good purposes. In the meantime, flaring it is a lot better. There's been a lot of controversy about the degree of venting. People will claim really high venting rates. It's not clear that that's the case. Especially as we move forward towards 2015, more companies are going to be taking the more responsible approach. Also, one of the interesting things we found in our study is that even if you take some pretty pessimistic assumptions about how much venting is going on, it just doesn't explain this total venting problem. So, you kind of run it out. One time this from MIT and previous published paper where he established methodology to do this, and you run it out and you're going to end up with wells in your commercial database, and it just doesn't add up to this is really a fracking sport. Fracking industry particularly is poor practices are common, but it basically, the end result is that overall this is not a fracking sport. Interestingly, some of the studies in our database were that this for the measurements were taken in the late 1990s, early 2000s, and this time fracking was not common. And so, and they got higher emissions as well. So we think that there's evidence from all parts of the industry that there are emissions there. So it's just, from our perspective, it's like one of our conclusive was fracking is contributing, but this really is not a quote-unquote a fracking sport.
I want to just turn to Steve and look out the last word here. Methane, natural gas is often viewed as a bridge between our fossil fuel present and a future in which renewable sources of energy are our main source of energy. And so I want to know, do you still feel that that's the case after the work you've done studying natural gas so closely?
So one of the things, as I mentioned earlier, is we need to have two objectives when it comes to climate change. We need to reduce the short-lived climate pollutants, methane, that's polluted the atmosphere about 12 years, and that's going to help reduce the rate. But we also need to reduce the total amount of carbon. And the rate of warming caused by methane is a rate function. It's like any criteria, it's like sulfur or nitrogen. How much you put up today really determines its impact. The carbon is fundamentally different because it sticks around for so long. It's the area that occurred. It's a stock problem. It's how much do we the aggregate put up. So unless we can go to renewables immediately, which we want to do absolutely the most we can, but we can't get rid of all of the higher carbon fuels immediately, but renewables is going to take decades. We can argue about how much. If we can substitute those higher carbon fuels for lower carbon fuels while we're pushing as hard as we can on renewables, what you find is you can get significantly less carbon. And because it's the aggregate amount of carbon emitted, not the rate at which it's emitted, you actually cause less future climate change. That's what we ultimately care about for the future. So we need to do two things. We got to push down really hard on methane now and get that rate way down to the minimum, and we have to push down as hard as we can on carbon emissions as quickly as we can. And to do that, we want to get the least amount of fossil fuels and other fossil fuels we use. We want to have the lowest carbon content fossil fuels possible. So I don't see how you can accomplish those without going to the most efficient fossil fuel, which is natural gas.
Well, thank you.
I'll jump in. I'm totally agreeing there. I think this is exactly the right approach. This is about natural gas or renewables. We obviously need renewables in the long term. I think natural gas is for them in the short term, and I think that's how the strategy we need these days go.
Thank you both for joining us on Science Live. Thanks for those of you and the house you got. Take care, gentlemen. Really appreciate it.
Thanks very much for having us.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Magazine live chat about science and religion. We had some really interesting presentations today at the Display in Chicago about how scientists and religious people view one another and what are some opportunities for building bridges between each community. And so with us today we have Elaine Howard-Edmonds, the professor of sociology at Rice University, and she just completed a very interesting survey about conceptions of science and religion in both scientific and religious communities. We have also Galen Terry, who's the vice president of the National Association of Evangelicals, and we have Jennifer Wiseman, who's sitting here with me. She's the director of the Chicago Dialogue on Science, Ethics, and Religion. So we'll be taking your questions on the webpage for the live chat, so please leave them in the comments as the chat proceeds, and I will make sure to ask them to our guests. And so I think we'll get started with Elaine. If you could just tell us a little bit more about the survey that you did and some of its most interesting and surprising results.
So in December, we started a survey that would have the intent of answering 3 kinds of very broad questions. So the first being, what do religious people, particularly evangelicals, think about science and religion and scientists? And the second large question being, what do scientists think about religion? And we're particularly interested in getting a very broad overview of scientists, not just scientists who they are part of the most elite sector of scientists, but what we call rank and file scientists, scientists from a broad variety of stages in American society. To that end, just closed 2 weeks ago, so really hot off the press here, we surveyed over 16,000 Americans about their views on the Times Religion interface. We got a 63% response, so over 10,000 responded, and we're really excited about some of those findings.
what are some of the findings? Tell us 3 or 4 of your favorite ones.
Right. So 3 or 4 of my favorite ones. 3 parts to narrow them down, Lindsay. Okay. So about I think this is a story of whether you see the cup half empty or half full. So if you are looking for conflict between religion and science, there's certainly a place to find it in these data. So about 1/5 of the general population perceives tension between religious communities and scientists. So you ask the question, do you perceive hostility by religious people towards science, and do you perceive hostility by scientists towards religion? So 20% of Americans perceive hostility by religious people towards science, and about 20% perceive hostility by scientists towards religion. So there's definitely a place of conflict. We turn just to the evangelical realigned. So those who some say, at least if you believe some media reports that have some tension with science, particularly issue of evolution, we find that 29% of evangelicals consider there to be a conflict between religion, science, and beyond the side of religion. Also, scientists and evangelicals are very different kinds of populations religiously. So 44% of evangelicals view themselves as very religious compared to only 15% of scientists. When you turn towards the cup half full side, I think you also see in these data some indication that there is some possibility for dialogue. So we have about 40% of evangelicals saying that science and religion can be very much in collaboration. So 48% and 40% of scientists saying that science and religion can be in collaboration. So there's room for dialogue, but also a very obvious conflict for some.
And Jalen, can you tell us a little bit about why you think a survey like Elaine's is important, and if you were surprised by any of her findings so far?
Sure. This is a very important survey because it helps us understand some of the dynamics that, as Elaine said, are sometimes misrepresented by media or by critics on one side or the other. I think one of the most important or interesting findings is the idea that there are more than 2 million evangelical scientists in our society. So the people who actually, according to the survey, are even more committed to their faith than the average evangelical, and at the same time, they're very committed to their calling as scientists. So those are people that can help to bridge some of these misunderstandings that we see between our two communities, and so I'm quite pleased to see that. The survey does show that there are some problems, and particularly interesting to see that evangelical scientists, those who are actually working in the field, do see a certain amount of hostility on the part of their colleagues to their faith. That's something that concerns us, and we can build some bridges to help to reduce some of that hostility.
Yeah, let me just pick up if I could for a second on what Galen said. So we look in particular at scientists who are themselves evangelical. So 17% of the science community surveyed identified with that label evangelical. We found some interesting things there that actually 72% of them think that science and religion can be in complete collaboration. And as Galen alluded to, these evangelical scientists in some ways are even more religious than their evangelical peers in the pew. So 51% of them are very religious or try to be very religious compared to 44% of evangelicals. They're more likely to attend services weekly. 54% of them attend religious services weekly compared to 42% of evangelicals more broadly. And they're also more likely to read religious texts weekly. 47% compared to about 40% of evangelicals broadly. So each person somehow are able to keep a successful foot in both worlds. So if we want dialogue, perhaps there's a tension about whether we actually even have dialogue. I think we should hear from the viewers. But if we want dialogue, perhaps this community could be thought of as a kind of group of boundary pioneers if there is a boundary between those two worlds that they have perhaps successfully found a way to cross those worlds.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. One reason we probably do want to have such dialogue is that science doesn't exist in a vacuum, but it actually exists for small conservative part of society, and it depends on the part of society for support for its activities, funding for research, for a favorable policy environment. So a lot of reasons that scientists would want to have evangelical support, and on part of evangelicals, we also very much support scientific endeavor and the calling that science have to expand the frontiers of knowledge. That's something important policy.
And what do you hear from the survey, or from your experiences, out there in the field? What are some of the misconceptions that religious people have of scientists and vice versa? What kinds of stereotypes are being presented in the media or out there in the world?
Well, I'm a professor at a university, that's I think, has very good students, and university students who think it's not possible for a scientist to be a religious person. So that's, there's certainly, I think among some, a very powerful perception that scientists themselves cannot be religious. And we see among these rank and file scientists, those who work in a broad variety of occupations, that they're not too religiously different than the general population. So, you said 17% of them describe themselves as evangelical, about 23% of the American population describe themselves as evangelical. That's an enormous difference. 24% of them see themselves as atheist, agnostic, or having no religion compared to 16% of the general population. I think that the perspectives of scientists who work at elite research universities who are members of these elite groups are perhaps taken to represent all of scientists, and if you're concerned about dialogue, then perhaps you have to start with these scientists who are most likely to actually be part of religious communities themselves as a place, as a religious group, actually leaders of that dialogue.
And as part of the view of religious people, many times the media will take the most extreme voices who seem not to have much use of science at all and present that as a typical religious narrative. In fact, those people are a small percentage of the religious world and the evangelical world.
And let's talk a little bit about the focus, at least at this phase of data analysis, on evangelical community. Why was that where you started?
Unique is a place to start with because there's been the most discussion. I would think we've actually done some analyses in my research team of just media reports of this issue that's most likely to talk about evangelicals. So it's a group that people are talking about. This is a group that's been in some corners of the country a leader in saying that race not be taught alongside evolution in school. So certainly we're finding that not all evangelicals think that, but if there is, this is a group that has been out there talking about science. So it makes sense a place to start. I don't think we can stop there. We need to also analyze what evangelicals think alongside other groups of religious people to find out if evangelicals are truly key. But I think there's this makes sense as a place to start, and a place to start if we want to have a broader societal acceptance of science and appreciation for science, because this is a religious group is a very large share. Some sociologists religions think the largest share of the American religious public. So this makes sense as a place to start.
And Galen, can you tell us a little bit about what evangelical means? Obviously, it's a very diverse community and very large, as William refers to. So how does the National Association for Evangelicals define evangelical?
Sure, we say that evangelicals are people who take the Bible seriously and trust in Jesus as their Savior and Lord. More broadly, evangelicalism is a regional movement within Christianity, people who focus on the Bible as an authority for their way of living, and then focuses on the work of Jesus Christ and how we can have a personal relationship with Christ as the center of our lives, and something that impacts everything we're doing, including our occupations, in the science work they do in a scientific person.
And Elaine, you talked a little bit about how there's this perception in the general public that scientists can't be religious, or there's this false choice being possessed between being a scientist and being a religious being. What do you think? Which role do you think that we're losing when science and religion are presented as a universal choice?
Religious kids will select the influence of science, and I think that's particularly consequential for the future when we're in a situation where we want America to be competitive with other countries in the science educational structure. We want the best and the brightest to go into science, and there's good reason to believe that some of those best and brightest are different religious communities. We want kids to be talented in these areas to have all the access to science that they can. Obviously, there are implications for the funding of science. There are implications for appreciation of science. There are implications, I think science policymakers believe that having a fundamental understanding of science is just a good part of being a citizen, a good citizen, and so we wouldn't want anything from the science side, anything taken for that. So I think that's extremely important.
Science is not something which is conducted in a vacuum. It's a part of the broader national life, economic life, educational life of the nation. And so having the participation of the whole society, and particularly having voices that bring a moral sensibility to the conversation is quite important, so that the work of science is done for the service of the common good.
Jennifer, do you have any comments on that? What are we losing if we put a false choice between those two things?
Well, I think, as Dr. Eklund said, we're losing a lot of potential science talent. We as scientists, we want to be very clear about the kinds of questions that science can address, and not to sort of overreach into some of these bigger questions that science is not well equipped to address, and thereby not disenfranchising science talent out there unnecessarily. So I think we want to make sure that all this potential science talent out there is not unnecessarily distanced from science based on this perception of science. But we also want to be able to communicate our science results to as broad an audience as we can. That's what serving society is all about. And if our message is muddled by some misperceptions that we as scientists have about religious groups or religious groups have about us, that makes it more difficult to make the results of science to be a maximum benefit for most people. So I think there are many reasons why we want to make sure that this perception, that's what this project is all about, is gauging perceptions, right or wrong, that people have, making sure that we can kind of move as much as we can away from this perception so that we can have more honest dialogue, maybe not agreement on everything, but at least have more constructive conversation, and understanding that there might be some underlying assumptions and things going on in science that might not be accurate. So this whole project from the science point of view is very interesting because it gauges not just people's opinions on this science topic or that, but on their perceptions. What are the perceptions that religious groups have about scientists and about the importance of science itself? And do scientists come across in a way that we don't really even realize we're coming across, in a way that's not constructive to dialogue? And also it's interesting because the survey goes into how scientists perceive religious groups right or wrong. And I like the way the survey is looking at a broad swath of people in scientific careers, the kinds of folks that people on the street would think of as their neighborhood scientists, if you will. So not only just scientists in research universities, but also scientists in local industries and local education institutions and science-related technical careers. These are the people that are more likely to be run into by people on the street. So I think these perceptions are very important because they can actually either enhance or hamper our efforts as scientists to share the results of science with the broader public.
And from the point of view of Evangelcal, just as a AAAS competition of serving society, so we as Evangelicals also have the same calling to serve society, and so we can do that in part by participating in scientific endeavors and giving our best contributions to making the whole process work and advance further.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about we've already talked about this very popular perception of this kind of or choice between science and religion, but let's talk a little bit about what science and religion have in common. Like, mentioned that they're both, at least in certain organizations, like when the AAAS or the National Association of Evangelicals, maybe this doesn't extend out so far to every other religious community or scientific community, but serving society is extremely important. What other things can sort of bring science and religion together in a way, like have you been close enough proximity that starting to think about dialogue makes it possible or perception?
So scientists and religious people, particularly evangelicals, have a real concern for diversity in American society. So, scientists that I talk with in my research are very concerned there's not better gender representation, there's not better minority representation in science. Those sources are heavily concentrated in the evangelical community and Catholic communities, and so there's reason to believe that if we increase the diversity of religious people in science, we'll also be increasing the diversity of science overall. I know from the evangelicals that I talked to for my research that there's a huge concern in making sure that churches are more diverse, that diversity is a concern, that justice is a concern. And so I think the sensibility of justice for society is something that religious communities, particularly evangelicals and scientists, can really get on board with. Wanting to find, why science can be used to solve food security, why science can be utilized to, care for the environment. So these kinds of things I think communities can really share, and perhaps I know I'm Pollyanna-ish. I mean, there's a long way to go, but there's perhaps it's more productive to start where there's areas of commonality rather than go right to the hot button areas of difference.
Yes, and we share a common vocation of pursuing truth as well. For Christians, we believe that all truth is God's truth, the same Augustine said. And science as well, and has the same vocation to stand in frontiers of knowledge. And as they do that, it's beneficial to everyone, and something we all support.
So we're starting to have some questions come in online from our audience, and please, if you're watching, leave your questions in the comments. The question comes from Adam Shapiro. Is there any sense of certain scientific fields being more or less attractive to people identifying as religious? That is, are science and religion the perception, attracting people from entering science, or diverting them into subfields that are maybe less threatening to religion? And are there particular subfields of science that do attract more people who identify as religious?
So we're going to be able to analyze that with these survey data. We're not quite there yet. From broader research that I've done among academic scientists, we would like to believe that people who are religious are less likely to go to research universities to work as scientists. And so there ought to be a lot of discussion about why that's the case, but that seems to be pretty incontrovertible that that's the case. And so in this population, I'm ranking bioscientists 70% describe themselves as evangelical. In other research I've done, a survey I conducted 20 years ago, only less than 2% of scientists who work at top research universities describe themselves as evangelical. So there's a real difference there. So the kinds of spaces where they do science is different. There's some overrepresentation in the military research on college teachers and things like that. There's some overrepresentation of evangelicals at least in science vocations that we think of as helping people, such as medicine, more applied forms of science. And so I'm interested to see if these research will get to the point of people taking the these are translating into actually being a working scientist, if that's true in these data too. So stay tuned. Don't think this is all there is. We've just started crunching numbers in this data, but we'll be able to talk about that kind of thing. I think it's pretty interesting, exciting ways.
Another question from the internet. This is Professor Robin. Do you think that religious principles and norms have to be adapted to the modern scientific realities? As you know, there were a set of concessions in favor of science after the Second Council. So how would you describe the scope of possible further concessions? And if further concessions are made, would religion be in danger of losing its importance and role in society? Maybe Galen, you can help me answer that question.
Yeah, I think the word concessions is an interesting one, and I'm not sure that would be the word I would use to describe the way in which we engage. I think as Christians and theologians, our task is to try to approach truth as best we can, and we recognize that it's fallible, finite human beings, so we don't have all the answers, and we don't always get it right, and that we can approximate more and more the truth as we make discoveries. So certainly the discoveries of science can be helpful as well as the advances in other fields, and I would hope that we would approach this with a spirit of humility. It's not that we're rewriting our basic beliefs, but we're open to seeing where we may have a fuller appreciation than we previously have about what actually is. That's the goal. So nothing.
Here's a question from Anne. When you say religion, what do you have in mind? Different religions are pretty different. Some have specific teachings, others don't have. For example, the Catholic Church teaches that the communion wafer literally transforms into the flesh of Christ. Believes like compatible with science. Or are we forced to redefine religion into something much less definite and compatible? So perhaps we could start with, for purpose of this survey, what kinds of religious communities were looked at, how were they grouped together or separated, and then maybe we can get into whether or not we have to redefine religious agreement or collaboration with science.
The technical question to start out with. So we looked at all kinds of religious groups in our survey, and it was the general population. There's lots of ways to conceptualize religion in the survey. So the data that I presented to AAAS today, we simply asked people to self-classify. So we took their word for it, what they are. And the evangelical classification was a matter of people feeling comfortable with the label evangelical, describing them very well and talking about well. We also asked them about what kinds of traditional categories they belong to. So are they Catholics, or like Protestants, or Hindus, or Muslims? And then we also have all kinds of ways of thinking about identities, the kind of identity categories, the kinds of beliefs that you have as part of your tradition. So we try to have as complex as possible, yet as understandable as possible, a way of defining religion.
And as to the question of theology, we have to have, there are some things that science is very good at measuring and exploring and examining, and there's others that it's not at all good for. And to ask a scientist to provide data on spiritual reality is really not reflecting the proper role that they have played. And so as you wouldn't ask a pastor to give you a scientific theory, based on instinct as biblical science. So we respect the fact that science has a role played. It studies basically the spiritual reality. It doesn't always study spiritual reality. It doesn't mean that spiritual reality isn't there. We believe it is, but it has to be approached using different methods and tools.
And so I think Elaine, you alluded earlier to these sort of hot button issues and maybe starting in a place of more collaborative place before we get to something, like teaching evolution or creationism in schools or even climate change, which is, has become politically controversial right now. So did your survey ask people about any of these hot button issues in particular? Can you talk a little bit about that?
It did, Libby. Thank you. So we asked what they believe about creation and evolution, and we allowed, unlike some other surveys, a really broad variety of responses that were pretty fine-tuned. And so I give you just the top 4 choices among all that we asked to describe the population. So a strict creationist account, so this can be labeled as God created the universe, the earth, and all of life within the past 10,000 years. So 22% of the general population has this view, except the view is describing their view of creation, and evangelical 43% had a strict creation view. We also allow for God's values evolution, which is God created the universe and the earth billions of years ago. God started and has guided evolution over millions of years, and here 18% of the general population compared to 23% of evangelical said that this describes them well. Intelligent design, which we hear a lot about, and this is the universe and earth came into being billions of years ago, and humans evolved over millions of years according to the design of an intelligent force. It actually did describe, not very many people thought that this described their view well, and 7% of the general population compared to 8% of evangelical. And to consider just one more second here, the natural evolution view, which is the universe and earth came into being billions of years ago. All life, including humans, evolved over billions of years. There was no God involved in either the creation or evolution of life. Only 10% of the general population said this described their view well, compared to only 3% of evangelicals. So I was somewhat surprised as a researcher that so many evangelicals take the strict creation view. Also, somewhat surprised that on the other hand, so many take the non-guided evolution view, given what you hear in the media as well. And even more surprised that intelligent design wasn't popular at all. It seems among much of anyone. So that's kind of where we are with these data. It's obviously still very much a live issue.
And even though, of course, believe that God created the heavens and the earth that were told in Genesis, the survey shows that there are a variety of views about how that happened. And that's, I think that accurately reflects diversity in our communities, an issue that many people are paying quite a bit of attention to these days, and we think that's good. And I think we'll continue to see some permanent as different ideas are explored further in the coming years.
And you may not have as extensive analyses of these data yet, but did the survey really ask about any other similar kind of hot button or political issues that you're waiting to find out what?
Yeah, sorry, which means really closely. So we asked about climate change and stem cell research and other kinds of issues, and we have not analyzed those yet. One, we did ask a question about the views of teaching, support for teaching creationism and intelligent design in public schools by religious tradition. And so the choices were, would you generally favor or oppose teaching? And then the choice of creationism instead of evolution in public schools, the percentage strongly favor among evangelical Protestants is 42% compared to 13% of mainline Protestants, so Episcopal and Methodist and other mainline denominations. Catholic, 10% of Catholics stated would strongly favor teaching creationism instead of evolution. And then there's other factors on other religious groups. Creationism along with evolution in public schools, 25% of evangelicals favor this compared to 18% of mainline Protestants, 17% of Catholics. So evangelicals on the whole more strongly favor teaching creationism instead of evolution in public schools when compared to other groups. But I think you need to hold something like that alongside the fact that evangelicals in general need to have pretty strong support for science, or at least as much support as the general public does. So we also found that there's really no appreciable difference between evangelicals and other persons of the general population today. So it might be good if asking a scientist a question about science. In general, Americans are not usually likely to do that, 14%, but are likely to go with an actual living scientist with a question about science. But evangelicals are less likely than any other group of the American public. So you see some kind of appreciation for science among the community, but then definitely the evolution issue and potentially other issues, there's more tension.
Certainly, one of the issues that comes up here is you have a variety of views on this topic as well. For many evangelicals, we have concerns about what is being taught in our schools. They have to do not just with what theories are presented, but the interpretations that go with those theories. So if I send my children to school and they're going to be taught, among other things, that really there is no God, I talk about that. Even if I might not be so concerned about the scientific theories, when you start to have a theological wrap around that, that doesn't concern part of people.
And we did, I can't remember what I mentioned at the beginning, but our research team also did 350 in-depth interviews, 142 of which were with evangelicals. And what Galen is saying is borne out in the data, that there's a sense that there's a lot more at stake when we start talking about the evolution issue than just whether or not you get a question right on a science test. That there's larger issues of meaning at stake. This also speaks about relationship to the broader scientific community. Evangelicals may appreciate science, but think that scientists are not always friendly to that community. And so I think that's an important distinction and something that an organization like the AAAS can really, that cares about science for the public good, can really get at trained scientists to think through how they approach other religious groups, perhaps starting by realizing that there are religious persons among their midst. It is a place to start with that, but certainly there's a lot of room there to think through how we can have creative dialogue for the sake of everyone's good.
So we have a question from Amit about some kind of the different methodologies behind religion and behind science. So he proposes that scientific theory, the point of it is that it's always subject to scrutiny, and religious beliefs are not necessarily. And do you think that those differences in how science and religion are kind of done, or at least the perception of how they're done, is that just an accurate perception? Like, does religious beliefs, is science more open to questioning than religion? And if so, does that impede collaboration in some way?
Well, very much, I guess, the presumption of the question with that religion is not tested, science is both tested. This also states the state of the Lord's good. And in fact, religious claims are tested every day by believers and unbelievers who are exploring the meaning of their relationship with God or supernatural. And there are just different tools that help us to test those claims. Then we use the science that would be appropriate to take out a measuring tape to measure God.
And Galen, you talked a little bit about how sometimes the loudest voices in a room in a debate in particular are not always most helpful or productive. What would both of you and Jennifer too have to say about what are some of the ways we can increase the softer voice? The voices that are already might be more open to collaboration but don't already, maybe don't know how to do it, or a little hesitant because it seems like such a contentious field, and if if you want to collaborate, it doesn't seem like a great place, but the state is so heated already. What can we do to increase the power, if not the volume, the power and the impact of those softer voices in the conversation?
It's a really hard road. I mean, radical reconciliation doesn't sell, right? And so there's a kind of propensity for whatever reason towards this conflict narrative. But hopefully with this collaboration in getting right at AAAS and then all the AAAS is connecting to do, you'll just think of temporary, always not you right there. We will start to think of collaboratively some ways to get religious leaders together and religious congregants and scientists from different religious backgrounds and no religious backgrounds together to really talk through issues. I do think that there's some merit, as we talked about today in our broader session, in starting with some issues where there's some real agreement first, and then once we establish and real relational, real relationships, then we can go forward with some of the much harder issues and talk about our differences in lots of ways.
So send your text to AAAS for the filter program.
Do you have anything to like add? Sure, I think those scientists are sort of busy at the bench doing the science, so they're not used to talking about the broader issues of how science is designing and so forth. So I think one thing we scientists can do is try to learn how better to talk about not only the science results that we're getting, but why they should be important and interesting to broader society, and be careful to differentiate when we're talking about the things that science can tell us and the kinds of bigger questions that science is well equipped to address on its own. So I think for scientists, first of all, recognizing what kinds of questions science can address better is helpful. And also I think people in the public are interested in the science, but they're also interested in scientists and understanding how we can connect on a human level. And scientists are not well known for being great socialites, but one thing scientists I think can do is be more communicative about their lives as a whole. What do they value? What is their particular cultural heritage and so forth? How do they become interested in science? How does it fit into their larger worldview and philosophy? And I think that helps people connect with scientists on a more human level, and that opens a better portal also for science results to reach a broader swath of the public. And we talked a little bit before about how the survey defines scientists and how it's quite a bit broader than a lot of other research that has been done on this issue before. So how does it, and you think it's expanding, the definition, I think a lot of people have perception of scientists as, old men who work at Harvard, who never leave their lab and don't get out to talk to the community, and when they do, don't make it. So how do you think that do you think that not only changing the definition of scientists in a survey like this, but do you think it would be important to change the definition of scientists in the society as a whole? Do you think if more people had a more inclusive idea of what it meant to be a scientist, do you think that would allow for to make collaboration with other groups easier going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. The way to suggest that we were the way to define a scientist, the purpose of the survey is looking at occupational groups according to the New York Labor Statistics, which is a national group that classifies the New York occupations for a well-respected group. And so you look at individuals in science-related occupations. So you might say that you're in the science-related occupation, say medicine, you might put down your occupational classification, but really you are a hospital administrator, something that works around scientists, and scientists will one step further in the aspect for some classifications. You find yourself a scientist, and then we also thought that you need to have at least some level of science training in order to be a scientist. So we want to make sure they have at least a bachelor's degree. So that allows a broad swath of people to be considered as working scientists, and you've heard all things are scientists, they're all in science-related occupations. About 20% of them are do teaching colleges and universities, but then the rest do not. There are people who are, say, working in technical medical research, or working in medicine, or working as a bench in research and development for corporations. And so those persons map on to the American population in a way that's a bit more realistically similar than the kind of stereotype of the man at Harvard you described, Lizzie. Those persons are still out there, and those are scientists too, right? And it does describe a portion of the population. But if we describe the population a little bit better, I think we'll also be able to have a little bit better connection to a broader group of people in American society. Just as stories that we've done, or research that we've seen on gender in science shows that if women don't define